So this is an area not really well known for being flashy, upmarket or terribly attractive, but there's more character here than 50 Icon Siam shopping malls. Welcome to Makkasan. So a quick crash course in the area of Makkasan. This is a sub-district almost in the centre of Bangkok. It has the distinction of being mostly owned by the State Railway of Thailand. This is due to the massive maintenance depot that has stood in the area for over 100 years. And as a result, there are large patches of land uncommercialised and undeveloped. This area has railways running through its veins. Everywhere you look there's a reminder of the past. There's even a railway cemetery where trains, rusting relics of railway history, are being reclaimed and eaten alive by nature. The place is so overgrown that if I was to climb over and have a look, I'd never come back out. Well, I'll tell you one thing, it's going to be a hell of a job when they decide to clear out all them old trains. There's also a lot of wooden houses around here, you'll notice, especially if you take the airport rail line and look out the window. There's hundreds of them, but we'll come to that a little bit later. The security man says that this is infested with snakes and lizards, so it's the last place you want to go if you want to cool off on a hot day. And add to that it's 20 metres deep as well. This is an artificial lake called Buang Makkasan, and it was built to drain floodwater when it rains heavily in rainy season. And judging by the level, it hasn't really had a lot to do this year, which is no bad thing. Anyway, let's give you a bit of history on the origin of Makkasan. The name comes from a place in Indonesia, and it was from Makassar that a lot of Muslims emigrated to Thailand in the Ayutthaya period, a very long time ago. And when King Rama I set up the old city, Ratanakosin, as the new capital, he allowed them to reside in this area, and the name Makkasan came about. Although recently, in the last week or so I've been around here, I haven't seen many mosques. I think I've seen one. So there's obviously much lower Muslim population around here than there was, say, a couple of hundred years ago. So if you remember, I did the tribute to the cats of Klong San Road, and this video, there's been so many cats I've come across that I'm wondering if I should spare 50 seconds to do a quick tribute to the cats of Makkasan. I'm not too sure about that. This is the original Makkasan railway station, which opened in 1908, and the airport rail link trains rumble over ahead. The original station buildings are here, and a couple of 100 metres up the track is the maintenance depot and hub, which opened 2 years later in 1910, became a revolution for Thai railways. A couple of 100 metres down from the railway station, this is the old railway police headquarters, now the Thai Labour Museum. And this monument is called the Dignity of Labour Monument, and it celebrates the honesty and integrity of Thai workmanship. The whole museum charts the history of labour laws in Thailand from the days of slavery up until the modern day. There's another monument here that doesn't have such a happy story. This is a memorial to remember the 174 female and 14 male workers who died in the worst Thai industrial accident ever. It was in a toy factory in Nakhon Pathom in 1993. 470 were injured as well. Obviously I had hopes of getting into the old maintenance depot for a good look around, but at the moment that's not really possible. I did meet a guy a few days ago who said he could get me in when it was a lot quieter, but I'd have to meet him at 6 o'clock in the morning, and that's when the alarm bell started to ring. He even pointed to a hole in the fence. I was just thinking, if you're a train spotter, it must be a lot of fun having access to these railway lines 24/7 pretty much, with no safety fences. You can walk the tracks, you can admire the trains close up, or do whatever it is you do if you're a train spotter. When I was a kid, if you wanted to walk the tracks, you had to climb over a fence in the dead of night, usually with a bag of spray paint. I wasn't much of a graffiti artist, but it was fun living the life. If you take a look at Google Maps, not right now, maybe when the video's over, you'll see that this canal is actually called the Klong San Saep. Now I know that canal very well, but I think this is just a branch of it, or a subsoil if you want to call it that. Some of it drains into a lake across the road where I see people fishing. This is in a pretty bad state as well. It stinks to high heaven. And I was hoping that they're only fishing for sporting reasons and they're not going to eat what they catch, because I wouldn't think it would be very advisable at all. We're going to have a quick look around the top western corner of Makkasan. According to the map, there's nothing really that attractive to be found or anything undiscovered, but when you're doing these videos, you've got to be thorough. Question that often gets asked is, what is it you're hoping to find down these random sois? Surely it's a waste of time, and that time could be put to better use by doing more videos more often. Well, I partly agree with that, but down these sois, you never know just what is around the corner. Well, pretty sure those dogs were checking me out on their territory. That's the kind of area it is. Anyway, I know this is not exactly Icon Siam, but I found the canal and it's a highlight of this trip around the underbelly of Makkasan. I'm going to find out what it's called and you're going to see a subtitle right here. I'm actually risking potential death by walking along these wet leaves, and there's all algae up this wall. I'm gonna have to clean my hands. I didn't bring any alcohol with me. Anyway, I did consider shooting this sketch with me standing in the middle of the concrete beam there, but I'm not that much of a nutter, I'll have you know. Anyway, according to Google Maps, this Klong has no name, but that's the phone version of Google Maps. If I check the desktop version, there's a bit more detail, and we'll see if this fine looking Klong indeed does have a name. And even amongst all the urban decay and urban contrast that we're seeing today in this part of Makkasan, it's nice to see that they've slotted a green space under the Sirat flyover here. This is Ratchathani Piron Park, and it's what they call an oasis in the middle of madness. So there you are. It goes to show that you never quite know what's around the corner when you venture down these random sois, and we've had a good sniff around. I'm back where I started anyway a couple of hours ago, but the evening is not quite finished yet. So I'm going to end the evening at my favourite Indian restaurant in the whole of Thailand, the Stay Cafe. I first visited when I did the Victory Monument video about 6 months ago, I think it was, and I've been coming back as often as I can. The prices are knockout, the taste is knockout, the owners are really lovely people, so there's a Facebook link in the description, the Stay Cafe. Give it a try. One thing you notice around here is that there are a lot of old wooden houses that belong to the State Railway of Thailand. Most of them are almost a century old. They were built originally when the maintenance depot opened in 1910 to house their employees, and surprisingly a lot of their employees' spouse and relatives still live in these houses. I remember they were trying to sell this as the ultimate city airport terminal. You checked in here, you got on an express train to the airport, made a smooth transition from your seat on the train to your seat on the plane. It was all supposed to be as smooth as silk. Well, things are going to be changing around here in the next 5 years or so. The State Railway of Thailand have been running at a loss for so long now. They're wondering how to make this land viable. The area around the maintenance depot is the largest green space left in the city, and there lies the dilemma. So the next question is, have I got an umbrella? No, the next question is, what's going to happen on this land? Well, that's been a long-running soap opera for the last 2 decades. In 2003, we were promised brand new Central Park. In 2005, they made a complete U-turn. They promised us 2 twin towers with a commercial hub, a casino, shopping, offices, condos, the usual thing. Do we really need another Starbucks? No is the answer to that. One thing that did get built was the airport rail link line, and a very useful service it is as well if you want to avoid paying a fortune in a taxi to Suvarnabhumi. Am I safe standing here? Anyway, CP are going to take over the running of the airport rail link service, and all operations and management from there will be moving over to the brand new SRT Dark Red Line services when they start later this year. What makes this a unique situation is that the State Railway of Thailand have to look good. They've got to be tactical. This land was donated to them by King Rama V over 100 years ago, so they've got to please the public and the commercial sector and come up with something that suits both parties. Well, I got caught in the rain. I was soaking wet. I was standing under a tree, and a nice guy drove me here to the airport rail link station. And it's a bit noisier. Do you mind? I'm trying to record. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, a park. Most people in Bangkok would prefer a park and leave it at that. But the brand new high-speed trains, the airport rail link service, that station's going to be built here. And the question is, what's going to surround it? Long-term conservation group Makkasan Hope have been campaigning for years to have the heritage, the history, the architecture of the maintenance depot respected and incorporated into whatever development goes ahead, preferably a green space. Expect the unexpected around here. That truck has shed its load of what looks like clay, and I don't think that's going to be moving anytime soon. Anyway, we're going to head along Petchaburi Road as far as the Makkasan intersection, and along the way we're going to see some remnants of the old American strip. Let's be honest, this street has never been one of the prettiest in the city, has it? I lived along here 20 years ago, and even back then it was well known for traffic, noise, pollution, and being generally pretty drab. One thing that has changed is the amount of office blocks that have come up along here, and back in the day it was well known as a street where you opened up your business if you couldn't afford Sukhumvit Road. Across there is the Tourism Authority of Thailand. That's where all the big brains get together to dream up schemes to get tourists into the country. And I do believe that's where they dreamed up the sandbox scheme in Phuket. You know, the one that's going really well? Well, this soi and the next one has a lot of old remnants visible of the American strip, and that was the nickname given to this area in the 1960s. A lot of US military on R&R from the Vietnam War would come down here to party. A lot of bars, pubs, discos, massage parlours were catering for their needs. Anyway, about 20 years ago, I used to DJ in a club in Tong Lo, and we used to come here after hours, not to drink or party, but there were street food stalls at the end, and you used to be able to cut through. Now it's all changed as a hotel, and all these memories are coming flooding back. Well, as you can probably tell, I am absolutely loving this crappy 1960s architecture, and it's completely intact from here to here. It's a hipster architect's absolute nightmare, isn't it? And I love it. I was reading that if a black cat crosses your path, it's supposed to be good luck. But that cat was blocking my path, so maybe it's not so fortunate. Maybe it knows my future. It's trying to stop me going somewhere. Anyway, we're going to end today at the Mit Sampan intersection, and this is where Sukhumvit Soi 3, Makkasan Road and Petchaburi Roads all meet. The significance here is that this intersection is on the hit list of the Makkasan redevelopment, and it's going to be a completely different place in maybe 5, 6 or 7 years time. And I'm speculating here that there'll probably be a shopping mall on this corner, an office block up there, more condos going up, and this place is going to be completely transformed. So that is the freight line that runs from Klong Toi Port to Makkasan Junction right here, and that's the 4th video I've actually featured that track. If you remember these 5 decades of Nana video, that's the line that goes across Sukhumvit Road at the old Soi Zero, and the Plonchip video, that's the line I walk along to get under the flyover, and then the final leg that I'm doing here. I'm not sure if it's worth walking along from Sukhumvit onwards towards Klong Toi, but maybe one day. So that was the urban, rugged landscape that is Makkasan. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video as much as I have making it. Please like, subscribe, comment, give me your feedback or any suggestions on future locations. I'd love to hear them. In the meantime, take care and I'll see you soon.